Hello, everyone. We are back with a new episode of Moon Phases and Essential Oils. Yes, that is a new name. We are calling it what it is so that it's very clear what we talk about in these videos. I am Lori Barnes. I am an astrologer, a psychotherapist, a moon lover, an essential oil lover, and I'm really excited to talk to you about the full moon today. First, I'm going to let Annabelle introduce herself.
Thanks, Laurie. I'm Annabelle, and I am a health coach and a naturopath. And as part of my work, I use essential oils a lot, also in my personal life too. And really happy to share some things about how you can use those to support your emotions during this full moon.
Okay, so I have a lot to share with you about today's full moon. It is growing right now. If you've looked up in the sky over the last couple of days, it's getting really big. And that's because it's a super moon. So what that means is that the moon is orbiting closer to Earth than usual, and it looks like it's bigger in the sky. So it looks bigger and it's more bright. And so that makes this full moon even more potent and exciting. So let me give you the details. The full moon this month is in Capricorn, and it peaks on Wednesday, July 13th. And if you want to know the exact time that it peaks, it is 11:39 a.m. on the west coast of the US and 2:38 p.m. on the east coast of the US. And here in Rome, Italy, where we are, it's 8:38 p.m. And if you have listened to other videos, you know that I say for your new or your full moon rituals, you can start them before, during, after the actual phase begins. And with the new moons, I always recommend that you wait until the new moon phase begins, because the new moon phase marks the beginning of the entire cycle. And the full moon is the peak. And so, it's really peaking energy before, during, and after. I mean, during is like that, minute when it's actually the peak moment, and then it gets to the other side. So we're already feeling the energy of this full moon. It's a really potent full moon. And I wrote more, I think, in this blog than I usually write, because there's just so many ways to look at this full moon. And so if you do want to know more after you watch this video, please check out the blog, because there'll be more information there. Okay, so the general vibe of this Capricorn full moon is intensity and intellectual or thinking kind of vibes, like it might be more of a mental kind of full moon. The name that we're going to title this video is Purify Your Priorities, because there's such a potency of energy, and there's these two signs that are or may create kind of like this tug of war, whether it's internal or it's external, like something may come up with another person or with a work situation. And so there's this intense and potent energy that may bring to the surface something that's going on, where you have to make a decision, you have to make a choice, where you have to maybe let go of something, where you may have to weed something out of your life or pluck something out, like a garden, when if you garden, if you have a garden, or even if you just have a plant, if you see a weed growing in it, to pull it, because if the weed is allowed to grow, it takes energy and food and sunlight away from the plant that you're trying to grow. And I think that's a really good metaphor for this full moon, that whether you proactively try to pluck things out that are not helpful, or whether it's forced upon you from another person or even inside of you, you may feel like you're really, really buried. There's just so many things going on, so many things demanding your attention. And you have to try to figure out, like, something has to give, something has to go, because I'm out of balance. I'm to this, I'm to that, I'm not happy, things like that. And so it can come out in so many different ways. It can be, I think I already said this earlier, but I'm going to say it again. It can be internal. It can be just this thing inside of you where you feel like you're unfulfilled, unsatisfied, and maybe you need to evaluate your schedule and look at how you're spending your time to see, like, where is the time going, and what can I put in that time that's actually going to bring me happiness. It can be another person, whether it's your partner, your boss, a friend, a family member, and there's just some disagreement, there's some tense point that's coming to a head, because full moons are about culminations, about peaks, about things moving to the next level. So with the potency of this full moon, it can take something that's already there, that's maybe been simmering, festering, and it kind of pushes it to a head, to the point where it's going to pop, and it has to be addressed. And so the full moon can bring some of that along. And with the sun and moon, they're in the signs of Cancer and Capricorn. The sun is in Cancer and the moon is in Capricorn. It does bring up issues of family and career, there can be imbalances there, right? And nurturing versus determination to get something done, like that CEO type versus the mother type. I talk about those archetypes in the blog. So you could be feeling a bit of tug of war in those areas. And the reason why it's so potent and intense and so intellectual is because two planets are with the sun. Well, one is with the sun and one is with the moon. And a full moon is always when the moon and the sun are opposite each other. That's how we see the full moon, right? Throughout the month, you see the moon grow smaller and then the moon grow larger, and then it gets to a full moon, which is the full circle. And it's when it's taking in as much light as it can take in. It can't take any more, and that's a full moon. The moon is with Pluto and the sun is with Mercury. And so the sun and the moon are always involved in a full moon, and we always want to look at the signs that they're in. And if there's planets that are with the sun and or moon, that is going to give more energy or supplement the energy vibe of any full moon, right? Every year we have a Capricorn full moon, but not every year do we have these other planets involved. And that's what makes this particular year unique. The sun with Mercury is bringing in this vibe of wanting to express yourself, because the sun is about self-expression and Mercury is the planet of communication. So there's a larger vibe of, wanting to get out, wanting to express yourself. And it's very much a verbal expression. It's thinking and communication and any kind of thoughts that have been, like I said earlier, simmering or festering underneath the surface may want to come out and get expressed. Now, what's going to intensify this is that the moon in Capricorn is traveling with the planet Pluto. Pluto is a super intense planet. It's a very slow moving planet. It's been in Capricorn for many, 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 many years. And we really only talk about slow moving planets like Pluto when it's interacting with another planet that makes it prominent. And so Pluto is prominent in this full moon, and it brings on this potency to purify. And this is really where I pulled the word purify from, and purify your priorities. I tried to say that 6 times. So Pluto is about purifying, and it's kind of back to weeding your garden. It's not a very etiquette-based planet. It's very much it can be considered a potent force that just wants to clear out what needs to be cleared out without any etiquette or manners about it. It doesn't care about the collateral damage. And that's why we have to be very careful about how we communicate under this full moon, because I expect that things can come out far more harsh than usual. You may be more harsh than usual, or you may receive communications that are more harsh than you would have expected from whoever is communicating with you. And you can be more harsh in your internal communication with yourself. So that's a really important thing to say for this full moon, is just to kind of be aware that there can be some brutal honesty is a really good way to characterize this full moon. When you think about Pluto being opposite of Mercury, Pluto moon being opposite of Sun Mercury, that there's this potential for harsh words and brutal honesty. I guess the positive message of this is that there is a purification process that this is incorporating. It may not seem like it at the time if you experience the unpleasant, harsh voice tone or harsh words, but it's a purification process that when it's all said and done, and when you can look back on it, reflect on it, usually you find that this is here to help you realize what is going to benefit you from plucking it out and pulling it out and leaving it behind, so that you are purified and you're in a more pure state to go after what it is that you want to get, whether it's an internal thing, external thing. It doesn't have to be one thing. You can experience this in different areas of your life. And just remember that when we talk about the moon phases in our videos, we're talking about what's happening in the sky. It's not possible to bring that to the individual level. We'd want to look at your chart, and where Cancer and Capricorn are in your chart to talk about specifically what this may look like in your life. I think that this information, though, is true, and it's general enough that you can apply it in your life. You can recognize when some of these energetic signatures are showing up, and you have some ideas of how to deal with them. So, and I actually have a list of what you can do if you experience some of this energy in the blog. So like I said, it's a much longer blog than I usually write, and a lot more information than I can cover here today. So that, I think, covers the general vibe of the full moon. Can't wait to hear from Annabelle on essential oils to use, and then I'll be back with some ideas for how you can bring in the full moon. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. So with all this talk of purifying, the obvious oil is Purify. There's an easy one this time. This is a pre-prepared blend that doTERRA does, which is it's, the smell of it is so cleansing. I use it a lot actually to clean my house. So I use it with my steam floor cleaner. I use it to spray. I make up like a spray bottle and I spray my surfaces with it. It just gives you a really, really lovely sensation of being clean. And it's got lemon, lime, Siberian fir, Austrian fir, pine, citronella, tea tree, cilantro. It's got some quite strong smells actually. But apart from cleansing your home, it's also great from like an aromatic method for cleansing also your emotions and your thoughts. It's a really nice one to diffuse on that level. So I think this will be a really great one to have diffusing in your home, so that your home is cleansed, the air is cleansed, you're breathing it in and you're feeling cleansed internally. And not only that, you can also use this oil on a deeper level to also cleanse your lymphatic system, amongst lots of other things. And one tip maybe that's relevant for us here in Europe at the moment, it's also a great insect repellent. So it can also be used for that. Just, you can dilute it with a bit of oil and apply it to your skin. You can diffuse it, it'll keep the bugs away. So this is the oil I would definitely recommend for this time of the month when we're having this full moon phase.
I love that. I actually have it here. My bottle. Oh, you can't see. There you go. The Purify bottle.
Yeah.
And I wrote the blog while diffusing. Actually, it's in the diffuser right now. And I loved it. And I loved how it covered like the grounding part, because there's some grounding energy.
Yeah.
Right. With all this, the furs, and there's like a couple of different types of fur. And then I have the citrus, which I always find really motivating and uplifting.
Citrus oils are really uplifting. Yeah. So it's got the grounding, it's got the uplifting, it's got the sort of antibacterial element to it with the tea tree. So yeah, it's a very powerful blend actually.
Yeah, I really like it. I actually just got this not very long ago, and I'm not a big fan of citronella, and this is probably
Nor
the only
me.
one. Yeah, and like I
I
can actually take it in this one.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like citronella much at all, and but mixed in with all the other oils, it's easier to
Yeah,
it's much easier on on your system, isn't it? I think.
this is going to be my new insect repellent then, because we have a
Yeah,
lot of mosquitoes.
yeah.
Okay, well, this is wonderful. And so if you don't have the blend at home, look in your cabinet for lemon, lime, Siberian or Austrian fir, pine, tea tree, and cilantro. I just got cilantro too. Oh my gosh, it
Oh
smells
yeah.
so good. I'm
I
excited.
put, and have you tried it? Is it, if it's a doTERRA one, you can have that obviously internally, so you should put it in your guacamole.
I'm going to. I
Because you
was
can't
thinking,
get cilantro here in Italy very easily, so it's very
no.
exciting to put a drop. Don't put too much though, because as you know, they're quite powerful, these oils. So just maximum one drop, I would say.
Yes, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so when I was looking for quotes this time, I was looking for like transformation, because one of or a few of the keywords that go with Pluto are like renewal, transformation. I use those words, and I found so many good quotes, and
Hmm.
and so I have multiple because I love quotes. So I'm going to read to you some quotes to hopefully inspire you to purify your priorities, because really this is about looking at what you can throw out that's going to help you move forward faster and better. I didn't mention this before, but I do want to say that oftentimes, and I think this happens with women quite often, especially if you're moms, that you tend to put yourself last. You have to take care of the house, you have to take care of the kids, you have to take care of the family, you have to take care of this and that. And then, if you work, and then it's like the last thing that you do is take care of yourself. Men, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, but just pointing out that purify your priorities in the sense that I am using it is really about setting your priorities and remembering yourself. You know what I mean? Like, don't forget yourself when you're looking at those priorities. And I think that caregivers, nurturers, mothers, fathers, just by nature feel like they have to do that. They have to focus on all these other things first. It's important to remember that if you're not fulfilled, if you're not happy, if you're not satisfied, it's going to be really hard for you to take care of those priorities in your life. And so it's actually correct and right to include yourself, to take some extra time to purify things that are specifically for you. So don't leave yourself out. I
Yeah.
talk about that more in the blog as well, but I think it's just really important to say that, because if you take this and you're like, I'm going to go purify my priorities, and you forget to make yourself one of those priorities, then you're not really getting the most out of this full moon. And I want everyone to get the most out of this full moon, because there are definitely some challenges that come with it, but it's a real opportunity to purify, to weed out, to pluck out things. And it's all about mindset. If we look at this energy and say, okay, it is telling me that there is a way that I can make things better in my life. And yes, there may be some discomfort in how that message was delivered,
Mm.
but yet not focusing on that, focus on the awesome thing that can come out of knowing what the meaning of this energy is all about. That's the point of doing these videos is, rather than focus on discomfort or displeasure with maybe the tenseness or the stress or the delivery message, but focus on what can come of that. So, okay, get off of my soapbox and get back to the inspirational quotes. So the first one is from Marilyn Ferguson, and she says, if you start thinking of stress as not a bad thing, but inevitable, resulting in the change that itself leads to transformation, that leads to sharp and radical changes, it can be a very useful way of thinking. So I think that fits really nicely with what we've talked about today.
Yeah.
The next one is from Susie Ross. She says, transformation is an ongoing process that tends to appear ordinary when, in fact, something extraordinary is taking place, that's nice. Okay, next one is from Med Jones. Transformation does not happen by learning new information. It happens when you change how you view and react to other people, events, and things around you. And so I think that very much speaks to what we've talked about today, in relationship to the mindset stuff, like how you can't control external things, you can't control people or, some events that happen to you, but you can control how you respond. So having that mindset of seeing things as lessons learned instead of terrible things that are happening or have happened to you, it'll help. It definitely helps you to move forward. Okay, and the last one I have is from Maya Angelou, and she says, what you're supposed to do when you don't like a thing is change it. If you can't change it, change the way you think about it. So, along the same lines.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to give you some ideas of what to do on the full moon and some ideas of what to do after the full moon. I have quite a few, so I'm not going to read all of them to you. I would encourage you to look at the blog so that you get more out of it. And also in the blog are some journaling prompts. Here's some things you can do on the full moon. This is an Earth full moon. Capricorn is an Earth sign. And so I will link in the box below to an Earth sign full moon ritual. There's actually 4 rituals, one for each element: earth, fire, air, and water. This is an Earth moon, so I recommend doing the Earth ritual. Hold the intention to manifest renewal, regeneration, and fortification of your strengths. So if you're sitting out on Wednesday, or even tonight, if you're seeing this on Tuesday, really focus on how you can renew and how you can purify your priorities. Review your goals and meditate on how you are prioritizing your time. Check to see if you're in sync with your goals or if you are out of sync. And the other thing is to really look at, are you working on your own goals, or are you working on goals that other people want for you? Like a version of you that other people have said they want to see, and you're maybe trying to please other people. I think that's an important part of this full moon, is really like looking at, am I trying to be authentic? Am I working on being authentic in my goals? Are they my goals, or are they things that others have said that they want from me? Are you trying to please your parents or your community, your family, even your kids? These are things to think about, because this is a moon that's really going to call you to get on the path that's the most authentic for you. And if you are not living in an authentic way, you may encounter situations that make you look deeper into that make you realize that you have to make a choice or have to make a decision. Okay, now for the next couple of weeks under this phase, 2 weeks under the full moon phase, these are some things that you can do if you didn't have time to do something on the full moon, because I realize everyone's busy and you may not be able to actually do any sort of full moon ritual or getting in the flow with the full moon on the full moon. So here's some ideas that you can do over the next couple of weeks. One of the things I didn't mention earlier, but I'll mention now, is that with Pluto involved, there can be power plays that come up. And that is when 2 people are both trying to get their way, neither one is willing to compromise, and neither of the people are really seeing things eye to eye. And so that's something that can come up. And I would say, if you see that come up in the next couple of weeks, to disengage, to find other options. There are other options that would work for you outside of maybe your option and the other person's option, right? So what I'm saying is kind of like disengage, and instead of trying to only have it your way or the other person only having it their way, is to try to find other solutions that aren't the ones that aren't working. So hopefully that makes sense. Spend some time meditating on balance between your career and leisure time. Are you working too much? Do you have a lot of leisure time? And what are you doing with that leisure time? Is it doing things you actually enjoy, or is it that you're just kind of wasting your time away and you don't really know what you want to do? Because that needs to be purified as well, so that you can have more joy. And so maybe things will come up for you at this full moon that invite you towards doing things that you really love, or that show you that there's more out there, and you can do some research and some, trying out, like maybe you can try some different things. Okay, this can be a really great time for breakthroughs. You can get some really brilliant ideas with Mercury involved and with Pluto, who's all about making some big change. And so definitely take the time to get inspired by these things and let your imagination go and see what you come up with. The last thing I have for you is that you may not have enough time to do everything that you want to do. And this moon may really squeeze you to have to prioritize. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if we're trying to do too many things or we're all over the place, we usually end up doing a whole lot of things, but nothing really, really good. And so at this full moon and for the 2-week phase after it, really pay attention to that. Look at how you're spending your time. And are you spending the right amount of time on your priorities to get you to where you want to go? Some goals and priorities are big and they require more time, and some of them may not require as much time, and maybe you're not getting to them even if it doesn't require so much time. So it's really like looking at your individual situation and sorting out what you're doing with your time, and is that what you really want to focus your time on. I'm going to leave you with that, and I hope you have a great full moon, a very productive, renewing, and cleansing full moon, a purifying full moon. We will see you next for the next phase, the new moon, which is coming up on Thursday, July 28th. So we'll have another video for you for that moon phase. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. Bye.